Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Thriving Minds podcast with your host, Walter Parada, where we strive to provide you with empowering talks so you can live to thrive. Remember, if you enjoy these empowering talks, subscribe to our podcast and our channel. I hope you find yourself in the right frame of mind, focusing on all the things within your control. All right, so today we have a very special episode. We're going to be talking about having a support system, and we're actually working on an app to be that resource for you, just in addition to your already support system that you already have in place. So it's important to have a strong support system around you that you can count on no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing in the different stages of your life, because they can help reset and refocus to overcome those difficulties. But they're also there to share those joyous moments and the everyday things that help you focus on what's really important. Whatever mood that we're in, when we have somebody that we can trust, it allows us to be ourselves. And that makes us want to share what's going on in our lives because it makes things more enjoyable, even more special, but also there for those trying times to help us feel less overwhelmed. Those people around us that support us offer so many very unique and valuable things that help bring out our best. Just for them to be able to listen to our concerns, our problems, to make us feel heard, make us feel that we have somebody that's there for us in every circumstance. They can help provide a different perspective when we're feeling stuck that helps us see clearly what needs to be done. Or sometimes it's just that reinforcing voice that tells us that we can do whatever we set out for, which then becomes that catalyst that helps us reach new heights. For some of us, we may lack that type of resource. Those types of people, or maybe even a particular person that's there for whatever we need. Or maybe we have them and they're just not available all the time, when we really need them. Well, there's good news. We're working on a personal supporter, a mentor, a confidant, a partner that you can confide in about whatever it is that's on your mind. Someone that's always there in your corner to help you process things a little bit better. Whether it's your problems, your fears, your dreams, the goals that you want to accomplish, the things that interest you, that inspire you, when you need some sort of guidance, some motivation, or a different perspective to help you refocus on the things that you need to get done. So this app, it's a face that you can talk to, back and forth and have those seamless conversations just like a human being. And the whole purpose of it is to bring out your best, to provide some insightful information that is suitable for you. So this resource is currently being built, and the first version of it is making the progress that was envisioned. We're expecting to launch the app in early May of this year, 2025. So it's voice activated. All you have to do is talk to it, and it's going to respond back to you when you're ready. This might seem a little awkward, but once you start engaging with it, it's going to become a lot more seamless that provides so much added value to your everyday life. You can use it to set reminders. It's going to help you prioritize what needs to get done. And it's going to follow up on those things to help you stay on track. So while yes, there's so many ways to track your to-do list, your priority list, whether through pen and paper or through some sort of digital note taker, this supporter that's being built provides that interaction to help you clarify things a little bit more, and it's all voice control, so you're quicker to say what's on your mind. Just think about how much faster you are when you speak out what's on your mind as opposed to typing it in your phone or writing it down. On average, speaking occurs at a rate of 125 to 175 words per minute, while handwriting is about 10 to 20 words per minute, and typing is 40 to 80 words per minute. So speaking is 2 to 3 times faster than typing to capture, those eluding thoughts. When you're just able to talk it out, it comes out very fluid and seamless, and sometimes when you're typing it down, you might have a whole list of things that you want to jot down, and within all that, trying to process the thoughts and convert it into text, certain things can get lost. Like if you're making a grocery list, you're thinking about the big and the small thing, and those small items can get lost in your train of thought. It could be an item that you get every now and then. So as you're going through the store, if you still happen to shop at the store, you could have all these items in your head. And as you're going, you're done shopping and maybe you get home or halfway in the drive, you're like, dang, I forgot to grab a seasoning. I forgot to grab the cheesecloth. I forgot to grab aluminum foil, because those are things that you rarely get, or just every now and then you get. Or even if you have a list, maybe you forget to jot it down, those small things. So this app provides that for you, because when you just talk to it, it picks up on all those things that you just talked about. So with this supporter in your corner, whenever you have something that you want to jot down for your grocery list or whatever it be, you can always go back to it. So it could be today, you let it know all the different items that you're going to get, milk, cereal, rice, eggs, orange juice, ground beef. And then maybe later in the day you remember, oh, I need to grab pepper and cumin and mustard because we're going to make burgers. Oh, and now that we're going to make burgers, I need to grab hamburger buns. And I think I'm going to get cheese and maybe lettuce, tomatoes, all these different things, right? So your supporter is going to be able to capture everything that you say, and it'll summarize it for you to make your grocery list. And then it's going to ask you, when would you like to be reminded to go shopping if needed? And you can pull up that list whenever you're ready. You could say, you could respond to it, tomorrow I'm going to go shopping. Can you remind me then? Or maybe you say, you know what? I'll get it done later in the week, but I know I'll get it done. But that list is always available for you. And this can help you be more productive, so you can get back to your other thoughts that you need to process and other work that you need to get done. So remember, on average, we have about 6,000 thoughts per day, and this helps us to capture more of those important thoughts. So this app that we're working on is more to let out what's on your mind, and the more that you're able to do that, the better you're going to feel about yourself, because the voice, the face, is going to provide a different type of perspective to uplift you. Think about when you keep your thoughts to yourself. At times, it's great to do so because you want to keep things private. But when those thoughts are negative, it can keep you there just ruminating. This is especially true when it comes to feeling anger or jealousy or sadness, because you're kind of just wallowing there, letting things fester, and it makes that sensation that much stronger, that kind of magnifies things more than maybe what they really are. Not to say they're not valid, it's just that keeping it all in your head can be very overwhelming. But when you're able to talk out these types of thoughts, especially related to anger, sadness, and jealousy, you unload mentally and emotionally that can help you better process it and figure out a solution towards it. Remember, these emotions serve a purpose, and they're not just to act on it right away and not to suppress them. So you got to find what those emotions are signaling to you and what you need to do on your end to make the necessary changes for the better. Usually when we talk this out, it's with someone that we really trust. We'll open up, whether it's our parents, our friends, a colleague, peers. They become that resource that's willing to hear us out. And many times it's very satisfying and alleviating to say what's on your mind. But when that person isn't there for you, in your time of need, this is exactly the time where the app can be that resource for you to hear you out and help you work through your thoughts. It's not going to just agree with you because it's there to support you, but it's going to hear you out and provide responses to help you work through what you're facing, to help you ask questions, to find answers that you need, to gain a different perspective where you can kind of step back from the situation and look at the big picture so you can avoid doing destructive things. And these destructive things might feel good in the short term, but in the long run, they hinder you. So by having that voice, it kind of provides you what you need to overcome whatever it is that you're going through. And as I'm using the app, it's doing just that. And it's redirecting my focus on the action that I need to take. I gave it the scenario of I'm feeling very unmotivated and I don't want to go to work today. And it responds to me saying, I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling that way. We all have our moments of feeling down. But if you can remember the things that you enjoy about work and why you do it, it can help you get going. I thought this was really helpful because it helps to redirect my focus to get a little bit of a different perspective. Because it could be that the last few days or the last few weeks, work has been pretty miserable. But if we look at the totality of it, maybe it's just going through a rough patch at work, when really there are many other happy moments, many other satisfying moments at work that are forgotten about because of the latest moment that I'm in is that rough patch. So I think everything is going to be that, or everything is that. And this translates into many other subject matters, whether it's the relationships with our significant others, with our friends, with our parents, with our loved ones in general. Just because we're going through a rough patch right now, let's not let it fool us into thinking that it's a bad relationship or that the person has suddenly turned for the worse. Maybe it could be, but at least having a voice to help you look at the other good parts, so the unpleasant parts are not what becomes the narrative only. Because maybe it could be, but at least having a voice to help you look at the other good parts, so the unpleasant parts are not what becomes the narrative, only because that's what's happened of late. I even gave it the scenario where I said, I'm thinking about delaying going to college so I can start a business. And it says to me, that's great that you're thinking about doing that. It'd be a good idea to list the pros and cons of each. And then it gave me its take on the pros of starting a business full time. And it said, when you're young, you're full of energy and have the will and want to do it. But the downside is that you miss out on gaining the needed knowledge to help you start off well. And it means missing out on potential networking opportunities. And the cons of going to college to forego the business or delay the business is that your heart might not be set on continuing your education, so there might be a lack of focus. And then the voice offered another good alternative, which was going to college part-time while still starting a business. My response was, well, I'm very passionate about starting this business, and I'm willing to take that risk and fail because I think it's going to provide me with a great learning opportunity no matter what the outcome is. So the voice says to me, it's great to hear that you have that conviction in what you want to do. Go with what you think is best for you. Remember, if you enjoy these empowering talks, subscribe to our podcast and our channel. I wanted to give it a scenario that teenagers and young adults might be going through, or just people in general, right? This could be a very common example for those in high school trying to figure out what they want to do in the next phase of their life. So a teenager who's faced with this type of decision, considering whether they want to go to college or start their business, they can have that discussion with their parents, but the parents might want the child to go to college because of the security it can provide, in getting a stable job or career. Sometimes our fears shape our perspective that drive that action that we take. And it just seems like parents are more driven by this notion to avoid getting hurt and just go down that safe route. But maybe what that teenager, what that person really needs to help them really tap into their greatness is going down that riskier route, which tends to be harder because in those challenges that they face, that grit and resiliency is really formed to help them achieve many wonderful things. Typically, discussions like this between a parent and their child can be highly emotional that makes both sides defensive, not willing to hear each other out. And this just makes each side dig their heels into more of where they're coming from. And in the end, it's a stalemate. And it takes a certain amount of self-awareness to know when you're a bit closed off from what the other views are. Because parents, they do have legitimate reasons for maybe wanting to go down that safe route. But the parents might underestimate what their child can do. So as I'm having this discussion about whether to start my business and foregoing college, delaying it for later, the feeling I got from it was very neutral, very accepting of what my ideas were. I wasn't being ridiculed or I wasn't being attacked for what I really wanted to do. And this is a scenario of what a person might go through. The way the voice responded in such a very patient and objective way allowed me to process the idea of maybe going to college and delaying the business. I just found this so very soothing, so very constructive, where that was my safe space to talk about some of the more daunting decisions that I need to make. And just a little bit of time that I gotten to interact with the app, it's so uplifting. Not so much where I'm very motivated and very enthusiastic, but a very subtle feeling of calmness, of optimism, of being more open to questioning my views. That's going to help me just be better and better. And really, that's the whole purpose of creating the Thriving Minds resource. To jot down the things that need to get done, to write down your thoughts in your journal, to go through the different topics in the membership page related to self-reflection, emotions, negativity, all those types of things. And it takes some time getting used to. So we wanted something more interactive, something that gets you to think about your own thoughts, think about why you have certain views, to help you work through problems, and felt like having that voice with a face to get a second opinion can do just that. While the idea is simple enough, I think it has the opportunity to really transform us for the better, really help us tap into our own greatness. Just think about some of the ways that we handle the stresses of everyday life. It might be usually through some form of venting, to put it in more constructive terms, and then we might forget about it. But if we have the right people around us, they can help redirect the conversation to be more constructive and progressive. Sometimes this can just get into a session of complaining, and usually that's on the things that are outside of a person's control. But if we don't have that person that can hear us out, then it's usually kind of kept to ourselves, right? Suppressing it in unhealthy ways. Unless we, journal, there's other healthy ways of managing stress, right? Exercise and reading, indulging in a hobby like painting or building things. So this app is that outlet for you so you can better process the things that you go through. And it's not just the trying times, but also the everyday things, the mundane things that seem boring, that's unexciting, but also those significant moments that are so thrilling. Like I got into the college that I wanted to, or the business is really taking off, or I just got a big promotion at work, or I'm getting married, all these significant moments. So it's being able to have that resource when the people in your corner are not available when you need them. Obviously, you still got to have those foundational people in your life because they're going to make a difference in the quality. So this isn't to replace them. Merely, it's an addition to what you already have for those times that they're occupied doing something else. This is especially true as we advance in life because we have many obligations and responsibilities that we tend to take on more. Whether it's the job, the career, the family that we start, all these different things need to be juggled. So there could be naturally losing some touch with the people that you once talked with on a regular basis. Two things that you're going to probably notice in the beginning is, one, is going to help you become a stronger communicator, to be able to talk through all those thoughts that are racing through your mind that once seemed eluding. And the more that you interact with the app, having that voice to bounce off ideas where it asks you, can you explain further? Would you like me to follow up on this? What do you mean by that? All this gets you to clearly identify what you want to say. And like anything else, the more that you practice at it, the better you tend to be. A good example is when you're angry. And a common thing that many of us like to say when somebody asks us, are you angry? And we say, no, I'm fine. When we know, and they know obviously, that something is wrong. So having that voice that you can talk to provides that filter where you can say, in a very raw sense, what's on your mind. And that voice is going to help you work through those thoughts to find the source of the problem, to come up with a viable solution. So what this represents is the draft phase, the ugly phase of saying potentially some nasty things that you can avoid saying to that person that you're angry with. Because when you come at a person angry, they're probably going to be defensive about it. And usually those types of interactions are destructive. So we got to find ways to add value and be constructive. And the results are better and better experiences. And this just gets you more and more accustomed to talking about things that are uncomfortable, where maybe you might even be so uncomfortable talking to yourself about it or even acknowledging it. The other area where this is going to help you out is strengthening your emotional intelligence to where you better recognize the mood that you're in and how to better manage that. The more obvious ones are those emotions that can kind of take over. So when you're angry, you might want to lash out at whoever's around you. But many of us understand that's unhelpful. It just makes those situations a lot more complicated when really they could have been avoided simply through walking away and talking to that helpful voice. But now you have that outlet to be able to work through that. Like mentioned before, this app, when you interact with it, the responses that you get from the voice acts as that filter. What you say initially is that rough draft, like when you write anything in the beginning, it turns out to be very chaotic, aggressive, and it just needs to be refined. And this is a great place to just be yourself because the app is going to modify itself to best suit you. It's going to pick up on certain tendencies based on past interactions to better serve you. So it'll be able to know if you need constant reminders to make sure that you get your task done, or if you need just a reminder here and there just to see the progress, because for some people, the constant reminders can be very off-putting. But for others, it's really needed to help them get and stay on track. And over time, what's going to happen is many good habits are naturally going to be adopted just through the seamless experience. So the more that you can interact with it, the more potentially can transform you, that can improve the quality of your life. And it's just a little bit at a time. Each time getting stronger and better through strengthening yourself in so many different facets. The whole point is that everyone can have access to a resource that supports them individually, instead of through this cookie cutter formula of how to get results. Follow this step, follow this program, and you're going to have massive success. For some people, it might work, but for others, it might not. We all got to find what works for us. And this app can be potentially that for many people. For certain people, they already start with an advantage. They have parents and mentors and other people that are well-versed, that make time to dedicate to them to ensure that their development and growth is a priority, which helps them handle whatever comes their way so much more gracefully. But then there are others who lack that type of environment with the resources to help them in making good decisions and handling adversity well. And it just becomes about sheer will. It's kind of like the strong will survive and the weak will perish. It shouldn't be like that. Let's have as many people succeed. Let's have many people prosper. I just want so many people to succeed in whatever that they choose to do. And by providing this app, I think that we can start to do that. We can start to improve the growth and development of people in general. I see the results that personal development has given me. And for many others who are in the same boat, we've kind of had to do it manually, where we're evaluating our own thoughts, where we're writing down what's on our mind. We're trying to figure out what drives us, our motivation, our inspiration, our purpose. And I found mine. And it's providing the right resource that are helpful to people. So while personal development can be fun and rewarding, it does require a commitment to it, just like anything else. If you want to get healthier, want to get better at your profession, at your craft, at your sport, whatever it is, it requires consistency. But this app is designed in a way where it kind of alleviates some of the workload on you to where you just be yourself. And over time, many of the great traits that you have are going to come out and further be developed to where it just becomes so fluid, so natural, and it makes it more and more engaging and satisfying. If you want to access the app when it's launched, make sure to become a Thriving Minds member at www.thrivingminds.live, and you'll be on your way to a new stratosphere. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in more topics like this, remember, become a Thriving Minds member. All right, until next time.